Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I have your attention, please call this town board commissioners meeting for 15 June 2021 to order. Ladies and gentlemen, as usual, I will ask that we have a moment of silence. Please choose the thing that's going bad. There's so many to choose from. Perhaps we'll each have a different. Thank you. Thank you. That was
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And for agenda adoption, we have an addition. We'll call it item 6A. The auditor is here to make a presentation. Are there any other additions, deletions, corrections?
Instead of adjourning to recess.
And instead of adjourn, we're going to recess until?
Whatever's good for the board, but we assume the 29th or 30th of June.
29th June.
We can decide before we get the motion.
I just decided 29th.
What time?
Y'all want to do it in the morning?
I don't
What
care.
day of it is 29th?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, it won't make any difference. Will you be available in the morning, Sherelle? Okay, we'll make it the same as here. 7 o'clock. It's 7 p.m.
Oh, in the evening? You have to make it in the evening.
Okay. Yeah, let's just make it 7 p.m. Take 7.
No. If you want 6, I can make it at 6. In the evening.
26, okay. 6 p.m. All right. Any other additions?
On the consent agenda, it's got board minutes, but I have to read it on the 20th.
Okay. There. Anything else? Your motion to adopt? All in favor, aye. Opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 5, consent agenda. Any addition, deletion, corrections?
None here.
Chair will entertain a motion to adopt. All in favor, aye. All opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 6, we will now declare a public hearing for the budget. Zach?
So you have in front of you the budget message, as well as the ordinance, as well as the budget that we worked on over the past couple of months. You also have your scheduled fees. This is what was presented last month that was on display in the clerk's office for the past month. It does have a little bit of changes to it, unless there's questions of the board or public. Go in depth, I don't know how you want to handle it, man.
Okay, anything you need to address to us that has changed since last month?
Nothing's changed since last month.
Okay. Okay, that being said, public, any input, questions, concerns?
The schedule of meetings will be in, we'll add that to that. I've got it printed.
She's gonna add the schedule of meetings to this.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right.
Close the public hearing.
And I'm going to close the public hearing. Chair will entertain a motion to adopt the 21-22 budget as presented by the town manager. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, likewise. Motion carries. Item 6A, auditors.
We have, Keith and Emily here from Green Fitting, who was taking over the auditing process for us from the previous auditors. We're very happy, so if you guys would like to give a quick update, we would greatly appreciate it.
Okay, we'll give you about 5 or 10.
5 or 10, all right, I'll try to get through quick. All right, on your desk, I put a green book. So it's the audited financials, but inside of here, we have a PowerPoint that kind of, makes it a little more concise and a little easier to read. So if you pull out the PowerPoint, so let's go through that real quick. First slide is, we basically just remind everybody kind of what our role is, and what the town's role is. The town's responsibility is for the preparation of financial statements and all the underlying accounting records in the financial statements. We're also responsible for the internal controls to ensure that all the financial transactions are reported correctly. So if we'll flip over to page, slide 3, our responsibility is to come in and give an opinion. And that is basically saying that everything looks materially correct. We can't give you an absolute assurance that we'd be here 6 months out of the year. So we give you a reasonable assurance that everything looks materially correct. The last bullet point there is probably the most important thing. You did receive an unmodified opinion. That's the best opinion you can receive. If you had a modified opinion, it would say everything looks good except for something. And that's not what you got. So you got the best opinion you can get. Slide 4, the general fund. Your total fund balance increased about $62,000, which is good. Of your general fund money, you had about $423,000 restricted for state stabilization. That's done by state, North Carolina. $12,000 in non-spendable fund balance for some prepaids. If you flip over to 5, that leaves unassigned fund balance, which is about $1.3 billion. That's about 75% of your actual 2020 expenditures, and 85% of your 2021 budget expenditures. So that's a very healthy fund balance. I know y'all been working towards building up your general fund balance. You see that's well above the town's fund balance policy of 25%.
Let me interrupt you here for just
Yes.
a minute. I think I've sat here for 18 of the last 20 years.
Yeah.
The first time we came in, I looked at the budget, close to $1.6 million in the red. You made my day, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well, good. So, typically for June 30th audit, we'd like to see between 60 and 80%, so y'all are at that high end, so that's really good. Slide 6, your general fund revenues, you got about $1.74 million in revenues for 2020. When we kind of list the various breakouts, that was about a $30,000 increase from 2019, and then you were about $70,000 over your budget, so that's good. Flipping to page 7, general fund expenditures were about $1.7 million. We list the breakout between about $145,000 under your budget, so that was a good trend there. Over on revenues, under on your expenses. Bottom of page 8, we kind of list your other funds, your fire department fund and your home and field fund. Both of those funds had increases in the fund balance. The fire department was about $112,000, and home and field was about $37,000 increase. So, and then we also just list the various breakup of the revenues and expenditures of those funds there. Slide 9, we mentioned the water and sewer fund and sanitation fund. These are your two enterprise funds. These funds, unfortunately, did not have increases. They had some decreases in the fund balance. The water and sewer was about $300,000, and sanitation was about $29,000. So I know you all know about that, and you're all trying to, turn that around. Bottom of slide 10, other items to note, you had your capital assets were about $8.8 million. That was a slight decrease of $300,000 this year. We kind of listed the total additions, and then so when you take your additions, but you also have to have depreciation expense against those, and that was about $481,000. So left about a net decrease of $300,000. Let's see. Slide 11, your debt obligation about $2.9 million in year end. That's a decrease of about $300,000. That's just due to principal payments during the year. The principal and interest payments next year are about $400,000 on your outstanding debt, so. Then the bottom of, on page, slide 12, we just mentioned COVID again. That's, hopefully we're almost out of that, and we just like to remind everybody that, you know, there are some risks if it pops back up. We'll kind of, hopefully, we're done with that. Slide 13, we mentioned some future significant changes in accounting principles, a couple new GASBs that are coming, fiduciary activities and leases. Those fiduciary activities due to next year. That's, we've kind of worked through that with Zach and Susan. And then leases is a new standard that's going to be not due for a year. So we just like to remind everybody those are coming. And then on the bottom, slide 14, we did issue a management letter this year. That's the letter. It looks like this. It's in your packet. It's basically a boilerplate letter related to the, you know, just proper review and approval of transactions, bank recs and stuff like that. Progress management program that is kind of a best practice, something that the GFOA wants or the GASB likes to see. And that's the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. The enterprise fund cash flows, as I mentioned, ensuring those kind of are taking steps to see those cash flows improve. Monthly financial reports, hopefully, you know, monthly financial information will start being reported to the council. And then your debt payments, something that the state has also called one of their audits related to reviewing their outstanding debt balances to know how much ledger balances with amortization schedule. So just the day-to-day activity of that. So that was the management letter. A couple of findings that we had to include in the back of this report. You flip over to page 83 on this green book. There's some findings that were noted for this year, mainly due to the year-end closing process. We just had some material adjustments that we had to book. Some monthly reconciliations, such as bank statements, some receivable balances we had to adjust. Prior period adjustment on the utility billing, on utility receivables book, and earned and unbilled revenues. And these, we go into great detail on this. I'm not going to go through all this wording on the chart. You can read it if you have any questions or call me up, and feel free to contact us. The state pre-audit requirements, town purchasing state pre-audit requirements, unallowable investments, the fire, there was some previous fire chief investments and equities or something like that. So y'all have since divested those. Is that true? Y'all divested those? Or you're going to?
Yeah, we're in that process.
Okay.
That's the.
Yeah. And then we had some expenditures in excess of appropriations that, you know, kind of went above the budget, about 37,000 on the Army Bill Fund. But, so those, unfortunately, those had to be put in writing back to the financials. And single audit wise, you didn't have any federal grants that were over $750,000, so we did not have to do a single audit related to that. If you ever get federal monies over $750,000, we have to do what's called a single audit, so we have to look at that separately. Y'all did not get any of that this year. And then in summary, you had an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion you can get. And it's helpful everything this year. It's always tough the first year of the audit to kind of get through. Hopefully, around it will be a little bit smoother and a little more timely as well. So,
I'd like to tell you, we appreciate you, but you know how hard we've fallen in the past this week.
okay. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, if y'all ever have any questions, feel free to contact us outside. You know, we're available anytime. So, we should be back up here in a couple of months and start on the 21 audit. So hopefully we can have this meeting a little more timely next year and meet the October 31st deadline. Anyway, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
We approved the budget, so we can move to number 8.
$55 Avenue update. We talked a little bit during the work session, like William, to Re-say that,
Okay.
basically. And
The board discussed last month, whether to move forward with a resolution and start the process anew, with the most recent offer, or to go back, were there avenues to go back and rescind the, April vote whereby you set aside or rejected all of the bids? And so I've looked into that. I mentioned in the earlier session, my opinion that you can do either. Either one would be an appropriate way to move forward. With neither necessarily being the most appropriate way, but both are legal appropriate ways to either rescind that earlier action and, honor the previous, highest qualifying bid, or to not take any action to rescind your earlier rejection of all bids, let that stand, and then adopt the resolution that was before you last month, directing the town staff to advertise and commence the upset bid period. So whichever is the will of the board. And I'll try to answer any questions.
Okay. Board.
Well, I might as well speak up. I'm inclined to go back and accept the last real offer by the finish.
So to rescind.
Okay, so what you're doing is you move to rescind the action that was taken May meeting?
yes, sir.
What?
What was the April meeting?
It was April.
It was the meeting we did.
Yes. To rescind the earlier, vote to reject bid, to rescind that first, and then a motion to, honor the, was it 160?
Yes, sir.
I can't keep the name straight, but to, award that, the sale of the property to the person who was the person who was the high bid at the end of that upset bid process. You can make it as one motion.
That's my motion.
Okay. All this in favor, aye?
And I was that,
Look, discussion?
Prior to your vote, there's no wish to recuse myself in this vote because of reasons stated earlier.
Okay. All those in favor of Bill's motion, aye?
So then the votes will allow them to use.
2, 3. Motion carries. Okay, it has been rescinded.
And did that motion include awarding the
Yes.
sale?
Yes.
Okay.
But just in case, we need to make sure we specify that, another motion by the same person. Make sure there's no question.
So it'll be a motion to award the sale of the property for $160,000 to, insurance.
Mr. Finch, is that your motion?
Yes.
All those,
I recuse myself again.
all those in favor, aye? Okay, motion carries, 3-0. Right. Thank you, neighbor.
Thank you.
Can I address you just a minute? Is it okay if I say something?
Why, yes, sir. You're the new owner of some property.
Not yet, but still will be.
I catch that back there.
77 Chestnut Street, Unit 105. Now, I have to say, when we left the April meeting, we were pretty much dismayed. But, and not everybody, and I know there's a board of 4 people, not everybody agrees with this motion tonight. Thankfully, 3 of you did. And we just want y'all to know that we're gonna do the very best we can to build something the town trying to be proud of. And we intend to start doing that very soon. But as I said, we were dismayed when we left April, but wheels turn slowly sometimes, but 2 months later, we feel pretty good leaving here tonight. I just want to thank you. Appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. Y'all take notice, make somebody happy.
Very happy.
Write this down. Item 9, TTDA, Zach.
So what you have in front of you is a list of, the authority members on the tourism board. 3 of those board members need to be reapproved. They have all agreed to take on additional terms. This makeup still makes one member, so commissioners, that would be Mr. Kroll. And then we have over the 2 standard for the occupancy tax collector with 3, and then 4 as a developer builder. So, you're basically voting to reappoint Bill Kroll, Robert Lane, Alan Cassavant to new terms for the board.
Chairman, entertain a motion. Chairman, entertain a motion. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
All in favor, aye? Aye. All opposed, likewise, motion carries. Welcome back. Item 10, Zach, Foothills Home Consortium.
What you have in front of you, is from isothermal, call, basically. And what we've been presented with is the Foothills North Carolina Home Consortium. Basically what this is there's a home investment partnership program providing formula grants to states and local governments. In order to be involved, the way the numbers work is you have the frequently asked questions, and then you have this page here. What that does is that breaks down basically the 4 counties, 22 cities or something within those counties. But what they have to do is look for certain problems, even pre-1950 rental housing occupied by people in poverty situations. All those numbers get added up, and basically it boils down to, in order to allow this money to be given from the feds to our local agencies, they need everyone on board to be a part of this, so that those numbers that may occur in Ellenboro or Boston can then be applied to places like Saluda, Shelby, Tryon, however it falls. There's no financial cost unless there's a project done within the Tryon limits. If there is, it's a 25% match grant. It goes for everything from rehab, tear down, different grants related to code stuff. So basically, if you would like to be a part of this consortium, what you would have to do would be to approve the joint cooperation agreement for home investment partnership. That will tie us into the program along with everyone else that does it. Again, there's no cost to be a member, but if monies are directed from the feds to Tryon, there's a 25% cost. That can be, labor, anything else that's kind of put toward it. But basically what isothermal is looking to do is to have everyone on board to have more numbers so that we can then go after.
Cash out of pocket for us. In kind, 25%. So we need to have a motion to adopt that.
If you'd like to be a part of the consortium, we need a motion for the joint cooperation agreement and entering into that agreement.
I have a question. Is this ongoing or is this something that you have to participate in every year?
This is 3 years.
3 years?
I don't see a downside.
We have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Okay. You have a motion, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, likewise, motion carries. Item 11, MSD report.
So the board, the TDDA, we've had these discussions for a couple of years. I'm going to turn it over to Paige and Craig and the TDDA and allow you to express, and then when you're finished, I will go over the RFA.
Right. Yes, so you should have a copy of the presentation in front of you. Kareem is going to talk with you a bit about that. For those who do not know him, this is Kareem Liddy, and he is the treasurer for TDDA.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us. So I know the MSD has been something that's been discussed over the years. Is everyone familiar with what an MSD is? Yes?
No.
No. Okay. MSD is a municipal service district, which is a North Carolina authorized district within a municipality that allows for the provision of specific services to a defined area. So For us, we're referring to the downtown area, and one of the specified uses for a municipal service district is for downtown revitalization. And so what the TDDA has been looking at really as a source of sustainable funding for ongoing investment in economic development in downtown Tryon is the possibility of a municipal service district being established within the downtown territory, within the downtown area, to really help drive that, and to give us predictable funding to be able to make longer-term investments in economic development. It's something, an MSD is something that's used in more than 70 municipalities around North Carolina. I think everyone on the board knows we are part of the North Carolina Main Street program, which is kind of the best practices association for economic development. And more than half of those municipalities are also Main Street participants. It's been used to great effect in some of our neighboring communities. Hendersonville has 2 downtown MSDs. Chimney Rock has 1. Boone, Brevard, a number of other towns who've done great jobs revitalizing their downtown have established MSD as a core part of that investment. And so it can be done with a fairly modest property tax burden on the property owners and still have pretty big effect. The research from the National Main Street Organization shows that every dollar of an MSD type of reinvestment generates 30x ROI. So that is to say, if we look at the potential for, say, 50,000 in additional revenue from that would generate 1.5 million in additional economic development impact in downtown. So we'd like the board to consider authorizing Paige to prepare a report to look more specifically at the potential economic impact and benefit that an MSD could have for Tryon. We've done a fair bit of work, and you can see in the presentation a little bit more of our thoughts around what it might be used for in terms of specific economic revitalization projects. You can look and see some of the data around the ROI, as well as some of what the next steps could look forward to look like after the approval of a report, and hopefully that coming back to be very compelling. So on behalf of the board of the TDDA and my role as treasurer, we as a board strongly support this and think it would be incredibly beneficial for our downtown environment to really help continue the amazing progress that we've made over the past few years in making downtown Tryon an amazing place to live, visit, and be.
I've been talking about a tax district for years. I've talked to some of the business owners downtown. Some of them are against it, of course, but sometimes they have to have it explained to them what to do. There are several people who own several buildings that are for that because there's some things that they know can help with. I've said this a long time ago. We got 3 main streets. We drive this main street. There's one that goes to the post office, but the one we need the most work on is the one behind Main Street. That's developable because we have quite a few buildings there that you could put a small business in, and that street would become viable. And Chris has talked about the boardwalk through there. We've been talking about this now for probably 15 years. I'd like to see that happen. John, do you have a question or comment?
Define downtown from where to where?
I don't think that's decided yet.
Okay.
More than likely inclusive would be the businesses from end to end.
Okay.
But I'm not trying to take their.
That will be part of the report that I'm going to prepare, John, is the proposed district boundaries.
Okay, thank you.
And I just did some math for my commercial property. I'm looking at $40 a year.
So I was just doing the same thing.
You guys are in.
So in order to move forward according to general statutes, regardless of how the MSD goes through in what form or fashion, you as a board must request a map of the proposed district showing its proposed boundaries. You must request a statement showing the proposed district meets the standards set out in subsection A, and a plan for providing in the district one or more of the services listed in General Statute 160A-536. So that would be the report that you must ask staff to create
Ms. Henderson is going to prepare that if you request her to prepare that.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion. Vote. Have a motion, all in favor, aye? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
So maybe we'll get bathrooms down there?
I would love that.
Before the end of this millennium, we've got more trees and trees, more trees.
We'll certainly have a lot more options and opportunities, so.
Say it again, folks. Been here for 20 years, best overall board we've had. Sometimes we run on straight and fight each other, but when it comes together, we really work for what's best for town. And I think this is going to be one of those things that's going to be far-reaching. Item 12, Zach, presentation of 160D.
Yeah, so for 160D, which is being put in place, Tim's been working on that for a while. Willie's been helping him, and this is Carol Fuller. She's super smart at this kind of stuff, so she's gonna help explain what's going on here.
Basically,
Is this a public hearing?
That,
It will be a public
It'll
hearing.
it was advertised as a public hearing on the ordinance changes. So it'll have to be a public hearing, but do we need to have her talk during the public hearing?
I'll just open this as a public hearing, and she's speaking on 160D.
Okay. 160D happened a few years ago. The legislature decided to consolidate land use ordinances into one ordinance, 160D. It used to be in separate ordinances for the county and the city, and there were some differences between those. They also added a few other things that had been issues. We're going to talk a little bit about a couple of those. And they consolidated and updated all of the ordinances. Obviously, COVID stepped in and slowed us up quite a bit. But everybody right now is in the midst of trying to make the deadline of July 1st because to update the ordinance. If you don't update the ordinance, it still goes into effect on July 1st. You just have to ignore all the sections that are no longer accurate and then go back to the statute for those. So the biggest changes that are happening is there used to be something called conditional use districts, which is a combination of a zoning district with a special use permit. You cannot do that anymore. You can have a special use permit, and there's no such thing as conditional permits anymore. They're all special use permits. And you can still do conditional zoning, but you can't do them together. And so that's our biggest substantive change. Now, there's a lot of stuff in this work, or in these changes, that aren't really changing how the municipalities have been operating. It just makes it more clearly legal. One of the things, for example, that I believe that we have in the ordinance is minor modifications. A lot of towns allow minor modifications after zoning permit was issued. So if you were a little bit off in how you built the property, you could have that. You don't have to do that, that was in May. And so we're making changes to that because you guys don't have that. The other big things is there's updates on ethics, and you can put maps in by reference, and you can put in this floodplain in by reference as well. So you don't actually have to change it every time there's a new floodplain ordinance, since most everybody adopts the floodplain ordinance that's the most recent from the state without making any changes to it. Am I forgetting anything, really? There does make it much clearer what's a legislative change, to like rezonings, versus administrative, which would be what Tim would more do, to what is a quasi judicial. And it makes that a lot clearer, and we're actually putting those names for the types of hearings in our notices to the paper. And we must keep minutes of proceedings. You already do that. So it's obviously not a lot of changes.
A prime example is the bed and breakfast thing, how we had the two permits at the same time and we had to do one and then proceeding the other. They eliminated that. So it's just one per.
It's the way you did it for a hospital, you know, where you have a permit under consideration, a conditional use permit under consideration and a rezoning at the same time. One's legislative, one's quasi judicial, and it's an odd, but it was used in a lot of jurisdictions. Now, the conditional zoning is all legislative. There won't be quasi judicial requirements of swearing in and all of that. It's purely legislative, but the end result is the same. It's a rezoning, and it's the approval of doing certain things tailored and conditions tailored for certain pieces of property. It's probably worth pointing out that one thing this doesn't do is change anybody's zoning district, or I've heard that in other places. This is all text amendment, no map amendment, and ultimately, I would say it doesn't drastically change anything, but we have to go through and make changes to make sure it's zoning ordinance consistent with this 160D, like changing references to 168 to 160D. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of those in there.
What's driving this?
The state changed everything.
No, I understand that, but what's driving it?
A lot of the municipal attorneys were involved in it. The planning and zoning section of the state bar had been pushing for a reorganization of the state enabling legislation, what outlines what you can do in terms of zoning and planning, land controls, call it that. Because the difference is sometimes big and sometimes subtle between jurisdictions. It was just confusing, and this standardizes it. So any town or county that engages in zoning and land use regulation goes by the same playbook, which is 160.
I get that, but I haven't seen anything yet come from the state that I didn't suspect an overreach.
It is, he mentioned, come from the lawyers and the home builders association with the state and the school government involved. So it was actually a largely bipartisan. There have been previous ones that were more heavily swayed one way or the other, but this has been considered, from everything I've read and seen, largely bipartisan. And I'm just trying to make it
I
clear.
don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with you, but I have seen a couple of things that the state did and others we've had to join in the suit. And I just hope that's not in it.
One of the other kind of things that it does is it does exempt farm use on bona fide farms in BTJ that had already existed, but there was, a lot of this is just clarification and making it more standard. The other one is performance guarantees. Some of the towns have gone beyond 125%, so the state came back and said it can't be more than 125%. So they're just standardizing in many cases that. The only other one that I would say is that you can't exclude manufacturers' homes based on the age of the home. You can use other criteria, but you can't do it based on age. But those are pretty much the ones that are on here. So.
It also requires a land use plan, comprehensive, long range, whatever you call it, to be in place by July 1st of next year, 2022. That one comes with real consequences if it's not done, because you will lose the power to engage in land use and zoning oversight. So,
I consider that an overreach.
And the other thing is in reviewing your ordinance, I noticed that you still had protest petitions. Those are, have been, the legislature has taken those back, and you're not allowed to do protest petitions anymore, so we have stricken that from the zoning ordinance. That was, I believe, around 2015.
we encountered, I think, one here where even though the order still said it, I had to advise that we can't do it anymore. It's another reason, it's a good example of how to keep things updated, rules, your local rules updated.
What do we need to do tonight with this?
Hold a public hearing in case anyone is here because of the advertisements, and at the close of that, Tim and I put together this ordinance,
Can we then adopt?
Yes, yeah, you will adopt an ordinance that has all these attached to it, these changes.
Public hearing, any questions?
What was the protest petition you were talking about? I mean,
And, if you were doing rezoning and, the neighbors were not happy about rezoning, they could do a protest petition that would require it to be more than a simple majority. So you, the board would have to pass it, I believe, by 70, either 67 or 75%. So it would be more, it would be a super majority, instead of a simple majority. But that didn't stop it necessarily.
If there were disagreement, they have to be all four. We have to vote. And now,
It's
just
a
three.
simple majority.
Is that how the math works out here? You essentially require unanimous? Yeah, I guess so. But in any event, that's been, that was taken away, not part of the 160D change, way back. It just still appears in the code book here in trial, so it needs to be removed. Right? That was an earlier change.
Yeah, 2015.
I agree, we have some things that we iron out smooth and change.
Let's take a big chunk of this thing off the agenda at once.
Other comments? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Do we now need to adopt?
Did you pass it out to them?
Yeah, they have, it's on top.
You talking about this one?
Yes.
Mr. Hogan read all this?
Yep.
So this change online,
I'm sorry?
has this changed online?
Not until we adopt it.
Okay, then you change it. Online?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Chairman, then motion to adopt.
Well, I don't have any problem with it. I mean, I understand it exactly what we're, and if we don't adopt, what that means.
What it means, if I understood it correctly, if we don't adopt it come 1 July 2022,
No,
No, so if you don't adopt this,
You gotta follow it
it,
anyway.
it doesn't make a huge difference, but our ordinances will basically be out of date with kind of what the state set forward. Because they have their own standards now that's been kind of taking a bunch of things, put it in one place called 160D. And they told everyone, hey, you all need to fix your ordinances so you're on the same page with us, the state. So basically, what's in front of you is the ordinance for what Carol and Tim have worked on, which is basically 186 pages, taking the ordinances, and in some places, it's literally replacing the word, bedroom with, standard bed unit or something. Some of it's nonsense, but some of it makes a lot of sense. So you're just getting.
I'll make the motion that we
all
adopt.
in favor, aye? Opposed likewise, motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Carol.
13, minimum housing update, Zach.
Tim, I have a minimum housing update for you.
Okay, so 427 East Howard, the lot has been cleared. 45 East Livingston, Jeff and I just drove down there before the meeting and they were still working on it now. So that should be done in a matter of a day or 2 or 3. 140 Grady Avenue has been cleared. The property owner took care of that. Town didn't need to get involved, but just kind of kept in communication with them and they finally got it done. 143 Broadway, I had sent the owner a letter. I have not heard back yet. I will probably try to send another one. So yeah, as far as new locations to look for, we're going to drive around next week or so and get a list. I think the Kennedy Lane with the tree going through it's going to be top of that list. But we're going to do a sweep and see what else might be out there that we can get cleaned up. Any questions on minimum housing? Okay, I do have.
Have you gotten any communication at 143 Broadway at all?
Oh, about?
Yeah.
No, I have not. No, not at all.
I asked you to send me a letter.
Yeah, I'll send them. Yeah, we'll keep going on that. You want me to do this now too?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, actually, also wanted to bring up, I don't know if you've seen the new pollinator garden we put in at 326 East Howard. We got some help from a grant from the Polk County Appearance Commission, cleaned up the lot of the kudzu, put some mulch down, some rocks so people can park, and there's a picnic bench and a little grill there, but hopefully in a couple weeks, we'll have some wildflowers just sprouting up all over the place there. So just wanted to bring that up. And then a citizen approached me about putting a plaque on the Main Street Financial Building for Hawthorne Bingo. Take a look at that. Just wanted to, it's kind of a memorial plaque. I guess you could consider it a historical plaque, but I just wanted to run it by you guys to see if we get your approval.
No, the problem won't do it. The problem is we don't have anything for memorial plaques and ordinances. Yeah, so the reason Tim's bringing this to you is when he looked into it, a couple of people had wanted to do this for Mr. Wingo. They approached Stephen Brady about it, which is the building in question. Stephen Brady was okay with it. Once Tim got to looking, we don't necessarily have anything for memorial plaques in our ordinances. So before he kind of gives the okay on it, he would present to you to see your thoughts on the situation.
I have no problem at all talking. We need to set something up, because if you start one, do we need to have something of historical significance? I met to talk to this gentleman and did a resolution and presented it to him.
Okay.
When he was here before he passed away. But there are some other people here that probably want to be honored also. But I would like to make sure that it's done appropriately, done well.
We can do another text amendment, including memorial plaques and into historical, that section. We can work on that. Or are you talking the specific?
I'm talking about specific. If you're going to do it, make it a metal plaque, high quality, that type of thing. Attached to a building.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as far as the idea, is what you're looking for right now, so we're in favor of the whole idea, is that right?
Well, this one in particular.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would be.
I would be.
The motion? Very good motion. Motion to authorize Hawthorne windows back at, that.
Stephen Brady.
Stephen Brady.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the number.
Yeah,
So we got a motion, all in favor, aye? Votes likewise, motion carries.
And so the board wants Tim or me and him, what, to look at putting something in the sign on, that's historical.
I would just like to see something done to ensure that we get quality plaques where we however you want to word that. What we have is a building or two that has,
well, what we'll probably do is, we'll probably see if Tim can contact, whoever brought this and make sure that the 20 by 28 bronze is indeed bronze, legitimate.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that, we'll do a text amendment, we'll come back with something that basically says these kind of things are allowed in certain districts upon approval of commissioners. That way it's always brought forward, it's not kind of left up in the open, because these things could get out of hand with
Everybody would put up a plaque of themselves.
Yeah, we put, realistically in this town, if we were gonna put up, important, we have 20,000 plaques around. So it needs to be funneled through the planning and zoning and then to the board of commissioners to make that final call.
which is why I said this to start with. Thank you for saying
This
that.
one was just approved, right?
Correct. Yeah, this one's just approved, we just have to go back and fix the ordinances.
So it's gonna have a picture.
Yeah, the second page is basically what it's gonna look like, just bronze. So,
Who picked that picture?
the applicant did, I mean, we can request the change.
It's gonna look pretty good.
Okay, we can,
Who actually made the request?
I can go get his name. I have it written down on my other sheet. I'll get it to you.
Could you do it during this meeting?
Sure, I'll do it right now.
It's not his family, like that, you know.
We can contact the family and see if they approve of the picture.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you know, if it was me, they wouldn't put it on that.
I don't believe it was the family, it's who I think it was. We met with them multiple times because they wanted to rename the school gym after him. They want to do a couple of things. I think this is what they've kind of settled with.
His name's, Tom Kell.
Yeah.
So who would be the best person to get in terms of the family? Because I know McDonald, but who would want?
There's only two left, McDonald and his sister. I'm just saying if it was me, if someone was doing something even this nice for a family member, and I'm still living, I would like to at least get him to take the picture out.
All
Yeah,
right,
but that's just me, my attitude.
we'll get hold of McDonald's tomorrow.
Sure.
And I get, permission from the family, see if they have suggestions or anything. And then since it's, we'll bring it back next month.
And we can approve the plaque and not then you bring us exactly what it looks like or something.
Yeah, that's fine. I think your approval, that you're okay with this project and we can just fine tune it. I think the approval tonight, we can move forward and I can, like I said, we can contact all the parties involved and make modifications. And I can guarantee that it'll be bronze and not faux bronze or something.
Just as a point of information, Mike McHugh has written all of the texts for the Tryon Historical Markers. He's quite good.
Okay.
And quite fast, actually.
Okay. Item 14, TDDA report.
You all have my monthly report included in your packets there. And I also wanted to bring before you this mock-up of a letter to our business community and property owners. I talked to some Main Street colleagues about some issues that they were experiencing downtown with proprietors taking up parking spaces or just general best business practices. And they suggested that we send a letter with support of our council or our mayor, the elected officials, just because that sends a different message than if staff just sends it alone. So if you'll look over this letter here, it addresses having off-street parking if you are a proprietor or a business or a property owner or an employee of a business, and it lists the places where town parking is available. We also have been having a little bit of an issue with sidewalk areas being obstructed. We want to make sure we're maintaining ADA compliance, and also that people are approving all signage through TIM as they are required to do. We would love for people to update their business hours and general information, especially since so much has changed throughout the year with COVID, and that just provides resources for how they can do that. And also, we are talking right now about potentially putting out a Nixle channel just for downtown business owners, so that we can communicate with them more effectively in the future. So if you all approve this and agree with it and would be willing to sign it, I would love to go about that. I would appreciate that for sure.
Well, I can tell you that property is gonna get hit.
Yeah.
That's been going on for years and years.
It's a suggestion, it's not.
It's just an encouragement.
Right.
Yeah, it's really just a gentle reminder. I was asked by a couple of businesses to do it. I know Bill and I talked about it at the last tourism meeting because we are seeing it being an issue. So, there's really nothing we can completely do, but it's more.
Besides start writing tickets again, we don't want to get
We don't wanna
there,
do
but,
Right, we don't really want to.
even a visit from TDA, and people are still insistent, and visit from the police chief.
I think it's just a nice way to suggest, and then, like I said, sometimes we can stand and say something 50 times, but if they hear it from the right people, that might make a difference, I don't know. So, that's that, and, also TDA is getting ready for our annual meeting. That's gonna be Monday, the 28th. We would love for you all to be there if you can. We're gonna be hearing actually from our, the firm that we actually just chose to do our branding project downtown. So it's gonna be a really great talk. Like refreshments, and, we'd love to see you, so. Let me know what questions you have, if you have.
Whom did you choose?
We're gonna be working with Arnett Muldrow out of Greenville.
Well, I'm good with the letter as far as council
Yes.
signing or the mayor signing it.
Yes. Any or all?
However you.
Great, thank you all.
Okay. 15, town manager report.
So as far as the past month, we've had a couple things go on. We did meet with Verizon regarding the tower. That will be coming in front of you in the following months. It should be complete by October with your approval and everything else. There will need to be public hearings and stuff like that. But they have shrunk in the fall zone. It's gonna be a nice site. It's below the water, the alum ponds that we have at the water plant. So with it being lower, it won't be as visible from people higher up, and also it will be directly behind the large portion of trees as you go up Glen Garden. So it should be hidden, hopefully. We've been meeting with the contractors regarding the Segra project. We have advised them that their plans need to change because of the previous install by Duke. They ran into the problems that our public works told them they would run into. They're working on changing some of that. We did meet with Duke regarding some right-of-way issues, some line maintenance, and some LED installs. We've met with South Carolina DHEC and South Carolina DOT regarding the bridge and the dam. The bridge was opened back up with a weight limit attached. That was sent out to everyone via Nixle. We're in constant discussion with Yetis regarding the signage, because what we'd like to do is with this branding, the typeface, the colors, everything that work that into the new town hall sign and the signs coming into town, as well as the wayfinding signs. They did the branding interviews. They went very well. They ended up going with Arnett Muldrow. We've been meeting regarding Beer Fest. We've got a planned volunteer orientation and sign-ups coming up. One thing that's exciting that I think Green may enjoy is we're looking into a Tesla supercharger station. We will be applying to that. We would like to see if it can work at the depot, since we have the electricity wired up through there. We're going to apply through the Tesla portal. We'll be bringing that back to you. We did have another location manager for a movie company contact us regarding some drone footage they took a trial on for a movie being filmed in Charlotte. The lights at Erskine should be under 2 weeks. The rock work at Chestnut should be July 5th. We had more state paperwork for the Braywick overflow. We did have a meeting with the state and with Withers and Ravenel regarding that situation. We did send our budget to the LGC. We have gotten vans secured for 4 Fridays starting in July. So July, August, September, October, we will have vans for 4 Friday that we're providing. The buoy system at Lanier was installed where the old dock was. Let's see. We did meet with the county regarding town liabilities. We've had breaks on Hidden Hill, Melrose, South Trade, Fairlane Road, and Jerby. The guys have got 28,000 pounds, roughly 13 tons of brush past month. We were forced to work on the Beaver Dam due to water backing up into the sewer system manhole located nearby. We had a washout at Harmon Field that was repaired. We did repair the fire hydrant at Harmon Field. We've been respraying for kudzu around town, doing some more side mowing around town. We will be coming eventually to you in the new budget year. Columbus, he can get a lot more done because it doesn't rattle as much, basically. It's the attachment that goes on the side of the tractor and mows around town. Ours is old, worn out. This one's new. We've been borrowing it. It's helped out.
we may come to you to see if we can purchase it. They're trying to get rid of it. We did install new bases and prepared a softball at Ziegler Field for Mr. Wingo. The boys cleaned the cemetery. They've been helping do everything they normally do throughout the week. They replaced some bad street signs. They've been working on the clarifiers. They helped unload the ABC truck. We met with Laddie Edwards and Adrian regarding electrical at the depot. We had some sewer issues at Hidden House property down the Woodland Park that we're researching. We may look at engineering ways to get a new line in because there's a lot of bad lines there. Put a new line in and tell everyone they have to hook to it at their expense. We've been cutting the Henson field to use for land application for the sewer plants. We're getting new rails put in for New Market and Rock Park. As far as the kudzu grant Tim discussed earlier, we put in a picnic table, we put in a grill, we put in mulch, we put in a small parking area with gravel. We did remove brush, trees, kudzu, and trash. We actually repaired the riverbank with a backhoe, and we installed rock to secure not only the pipes but the bank itself. We took some of the trees that we cut down previously when we first obtained the property and used those as backstops to keep people from driving into the creek. Fire department's been nice enough to water the flowers for us. We talked about Brown Park. We've got flower pots there. We're removing stuff. We're gonna put some stuff back. We did have the East Side meeting via Zoom. That worked out well, so we may keep doing it. As far as Rogers Park goes, we've been prepping for Shakespeare in the park. That went very well. We've been talking with Mr. Vining about replacing part of the pergola. We will attempt, given time and resources, to do new mulch and new rock when the new budget kicks in on July 1 for the July 2 summer tracks. So we're gonna see what we can get done there. Our block cameras we've discussed will be installed 7/1, as well as the body cameras and car cameras. And then we've met with the Lake Lanier Civic Association regarding services, contacted Greenville County, and a couple of other things. So if you have any questions.
What is Lake Lanier asking for?
We had a couple issues with services not being provided by Greenville County. They wanted us to provide services. We informed them that we cannot provide certain services, but I did contact the sheriff's department to reiterate what they've been saying to Greenville County. So it's just, sometimes it takes people a long time to get there, which is understandable.
So the buoys at the old, I guess it's an old silo or something. Is that actually a water hazard? Is it?
Yeah, it's
4 feet under the water or 2 feet or?
In some spots, depending on everything else, it's less than 2 to 3 feet. It's, what it is there's the old silo back when it was, I guess, farmland. They just built the dam and built it up. So it's a concrete silo. And coming off the top, from the best I can tell, the frame that went overhead of the silo that would open up to allow storage, that's kind of been beaten and battered over the years. So there's this whole web of metal just hanging out, and it's, your boat would get attacked by it, so.
Okay, Council Mayor, tonight, Chris, Bill Paul, Bill English, around me.
I just want to thank the staff for all the hard work, TDA and Dave for moving forward with this. I'm all for the downtown business district feeding themselves up a little bit financially. And thank you for having the people show up tonight. It's nice meeting you.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't have much to say except for thanks and welcome the visitors. Thank John Bynum again. Tireless work. I see him every day doing something. Appreciate it. The staff, you've been wonderful. Appreciate everything. Great job.
I'd like to, say that, by now, I'm sure everyone has heard of, the Biden-Harris administration's American Jobs Plan. And I'd like to report that Tryon, leads the report and has been presented to the administration and Congress. We may be getting a report on this town as far as the bulletin. If not, we may stretch out across, I know we're gonna stretch out across the United States. I just don't know exactly where that report is, but I would like to have a report done locally. And we're one of 3 towns in North Carolina. But I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank the staff. I'm not sure where you two are from, but I know you come from a long distance. New Jersey. Ohio. In Ohio. Thank you for coming. And we know Ms. Whitmire. Yes. Like I said, I want to thank all of the employees and whatever you're doing down there, I'm not, that didn't come out right, but what you're doing with the district there. And then thank everybody for coming out.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for this young man here, who's working to be a scout, decided to come out and attend the meeting and learn what goes on in the real world. We won't talk about it much. Your sister ran track for me, just graduated from high school and going to go to Appalachian State. And Dad's getting billed. Right, Alan?
Well, hopefully some local scholarships up.
Employees, thank you. Thank y'all for coming out. And again, best place I've ever lived. I say it every day. Any citizens' comments? John?
There's an old historic marker, and it's not terribly old, for the toy maker house. It's just leaning up against the back of the building.
We discussed that today.
Okay, great. And I was suggesting you give it to the museum. They may not want it because it weighs like 400 pounds, but just to have it leaning on the back, I at least like to put it somewhere where people can see it.
Is that a track trailer here?
Yep. No, that's not happening.
Pardon?
We're gonna have 2.
Oh, no kidding.
This one
Wow.
got hit.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, the other thing I want to mention, I mean, I like the idea of the Tesla charger. I don't have a Tesla, probably won't ever have one. But if it's not too intrusive, I don't know if there's a possibility of having a small solar panel that would, maybe not charge it entirely, but would generate some electricity. May not be possible. I see it in municipalities, so I don't know if they know something we don't know or whatever, but I still have.
Okay. John, I want, since we started the restoration for this, the committee started in 2002. We wanted to put solar panels on top, but till we get something else done, it doesn't seem like it's worth a pile of investment to put anything up there if we get more done in this building.
But I was talking about the Tesla charger exclusively.
And I get it, yes. Others?
I do have a question.
Okay, if you do, ma'am, please state your name for the record.
Catherine Simpson Littlejohn. I just wanted to make sure the property at 143 Broadway Street, is that a project for tear down?
So the minimum housing, in order for the town to take it down, we have a long checklist of things that it needs to like fail at, like the hazards. Right now, as it stands, the structure is, I'd say, 85, 90% intact. I'm sure mold's getting in there now and stuff, but at this point in time, I don't believe it's going to meet enough check boxes for the town to intervene and take it down. So that's why we're reaching out to the owner to see if we can potentially get some kind of movement on repairs or just to open up a conversation with them to see what we can do.
I'll talk to you after the meeting.
Okay.
Frankly, I was hoping he could sell it, because there are some people interested in it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, realistically, if they don't do anything, it will be ready to tear down very soon.
Yeah, it will reach that point soon, yeah.
Unfortunately. Opposed? Hearing no others, Chair will entertain a motion to recess until 29 June at 6 p.m. All favor, aye? All opposed, likewise, motion carries. We adjourn.